Good morning. I'm Dick Pace, Senior Director of Merit CX. And I have the pleasure this morning of working with a good friend and client for over 10 years, Mike Schuil. Mike has worked with global companies on CX management and the development of CX programs for the last 10 years for a diversity of industries. So Mike, a couple of questions this morning.
Sure.
So I'm a new company, and I hear about customer experience. How do I go about setting up a best-in-class customer experience program?
I think the first big challenge for any organization is buy-in. If there's not deep buy-in at the highest levels of the company, the program or the initiative will fail. There has to be real belief that this is going to drive value and profitability across the organization. I think it's one of the big challenges for customer experience, or has been. How do you kind of point to certain KPIs that drive profitability? What's really kind of baked in here? Why should I care? Well, how is this going to help my bottom line? And that's one big question that anyone trying to get a program like this off the ground is going to have to deal with. Certain questions around technology is certainly hugely important now. How are you going to track these things? How are you going to establish closed loop programs where you can address problems as they come up? You have to make sure that the technology is also there in any sort of implementation phase. Those are the things that I would say be most challenging to any organization. I will add further, in my experience, when you give a customer experience program teeth, in other words, if you tie it to people's compensation from top to bottom, not just a select few, but you make it an all-in. You make it an all-in effort on the company. If this fails, everybody fails, and it hurts them in their pocketbook at the end of the year in terms of their end-of-year bonus, for example. That's another great way of getting corporate buy-in for the success of the implementation of the program.
You talk about one of the problems is getting senior buy-in. What are the problems you run into if I'm setting up a CX program? From a budgetary standpoint, that's probably the biggest hurdle. What is the investment the company is willing to put towards this effort? CX program implementation is not something you kind of go in just kind of half-hearted. When it comes to a budget, you either are investing in it or you're not. And so one of the biggest challenges, I think, for any organization, this is not a cheap initiative, and it's going to require some real significant funding, especially on the technology side, to make sure that the program that gets implemented, you move it from the theoretical phase to this thing's actually going to work phase, and to make sure that you're bringing in the right people, like a Merit CX, for example, to come in and manage that process for you, especially if you do not have the institutional knowledge and know-how and resources to do it yourself. This is not a self-help kind of thing. You're working on your kitchen sink on the weekend. You call the plumber and you have them deal with the problem before it becomes a bigger problem that you're dealing with. So what are the benefits? I've got it established now. What are the benefits to management, to our CEO, to our employees of setting up a best-in-class customer experience program?
It drives profitability. If that's, again, if there's no bigger motivation than that. A great customer experience will lend itself to better profitability, increased profitability. How you demonstrate that, how you measure that, is, I think, a function of the program you implement. The better the program, I think, that you implement, the easier, the more clarity it is behind the profitability KPIs that they're driving.
Well, Mike, thanks very much for joining us, and thank
Pleasure,
you
Dick.
for joining us on Merit CX Cafe.
Thank you.